Hi friends, I'm Bex and today I'm gonna do my makeup, hopefully better than my husband did my makeup, and I'm gonna do it for Thanksgiving basically. So by the time it's in like a Thanksgiving makeup tutorial, because by the time it goes up it won't be, but I was like, how can I make up for not uploading in September? I'm gonna try to upload twice in October, and this is gonna be it. Sorry about the towels. It's either that or the toilet, so you know, let's just be adults about it. I'm gonna use a couple of things today. I think the star of the show is gonna be this pumpkin spice latte quad from Midas Cosmetics. Midas Cosmetics is awesome, and they have like frequent pretty good sales. I have all of their coffee quads. They're great and really reasonably priced, so I recommend them. And I think I'm also gonna use my fairy blush palette from Likely Makeup, which is, I think I've said before, is one of my favorite makeup things that I own. And I think I might just go in with a bit of that because the light orange in pumpkin, like, it's very bright, so I might just use that to kind of like help tone it down a little bit. But first I am going to prime my eyes with the e.l.f. Putty Eye Primer. This, I can't remember what this shade is called. I think it's Rose or something like that. It's a lighter nude. And I go in with like a fluffy brush, and a little bit goes a long way. I find it's like a bit of a dance using enough of this and not using too much. My eyes do get oily, so, but they also get dry. I have combination skin. It's not ideal. So I focus it in the crease, and then I do kind of a bit over the lid, and then I'll go in again, maybe like with my finger or the denser side of the brush, for where I need more of it. But I try to do a light wash to begin, because once, as we know, once you add too much, it's kind of, you can't really undo it. I mean, for some products there are ways to fix it, but with others it's a lot more difficult. So I'm sorry if I'm blocking my face. I am nearsighted, so that will probably happen. I'm very used to be like sitting like basically in the sink against the mirror. Right now I'm like in a chair using a much like, this blush palette has a pretty good large mirror, but it's still much smaller than what I'm used to doing my makeup in. Once I feel like I have enough, I just kind of go pat over it, and that will kind of get rid of any excess. I've already like prepped my skin with moisturizer. I mostly use this one by the Inky List, and then I used a Laneige one around the drier patches, and I also put a bunch of lip balm on and exfoliated my lips, so that's why my lips look like I put like a whole container of lip gloss on them. I didn't. I just, if I'm gonna put anything on my lips, especially anything matte, I need to exfoliate and moisturize. So I'm now wondering if this palette, like this orange, is really gonna go with these oranges, but funny enough, the other palette with oranges is propping up my phone. One second. Okay, so I think instead of going in with that like kind of pastel-y orange, because I feel like it might still work, but I'm just a bit nervous about it. I don't think I've done that before with like combination with that palette. So what I'm gonna do instead is I'm gonna go with this like e.l.f. J Kissa collab palette, and I'm gonna take the like lightest orange here and mix it with like the super bright orange over here, just to kind of, because this is like, goes on the eyes, it's like almost like hot Cheetos neon orange. It's really pretty, but I find that because of how bright it is a little bit more difficult to blend than the other colors, and I want to tone it down a little bit, so I'm gonna go with this light color on the Jade Kiss palette, which is called Millie, and I'm gonna mix it with this super bright orange, which is called Ice. I always tap off the brush, either on a cloth or in the sink, and then I wipe down the sink after. All right, I'm gonna use this mirror now. And I honestly, I do my eyes first, because honestly, people are like, oh, you're so great at eye makeup. I'm actually not that good, like technically speaking, at it. What I do is I kind of go ham, and then I like clean it up afterwards. I know that's kind of counterintuitive to what I just said about like don't go with too much all at once, which is still true, but I do kind of go ham with like as far as like color goes and stuff, and then if I need to like, then you can always like blend stuff out, tone it down, and if there's fallout or I need to like, I think you know what I'm saying. So I find a lot of the time when I do my eye makeup, which is a lot less these days, not because like, because I definitely am somebody who like just doing the act of doing makeup brings me joy. I don't have to be going anywhere, but because I'm not going anywhere, I just find it harder to justify doing my makeup and then having to clean my friggin' brushes, because if you do makeup, especially if you do darker colorful makeup, you know that's just, and it's just so boring. Like once you do it, once you get down to doing it, honestly it doesn't take me that long. Like I just try to do it, I do it a lot more frequently than I used to, because I find rather than building up a ton of brushes that are dirty, it just makes more sense to, you know, kind of do it as you go. But anywho, like see how far I bring up the shadow? It's quite far, and I'll probably take a new shadow after and blend it down a little bit. I don't have like, I wouldn't really call them hooded eyes, but they are like kind of a little bit in that direction, and kind of, I think that's just a thing that kind of happens as you get older to most people. So I'm gonna go in with just the bright one, the iced color now, and go in kind of on this like inner part, because I always like almost always like the inner part of my crease and my lid to be a little bit brighter, lighter. Okay. So now I'm gonna do kind of something a little bit similar to what I just did, because this double shot color is also quite bright. I'm gonna mix it with Zuma, which is the shade below Millie, so it's just like slightly darker orange. I find that is working. It's working pretty well to sort of like, I need a new crease brush. This one looks kind of sad, but I do make my brushes last. I've had this for a long time, I will say that. So I find that it just like grounds the brightness a little bit. I used to not, like, I've gotten into orange and yellow in the last couple years, like, and pink as well, just like brighter colors that I used to be like, oh, that's too bright or that's too girly or whatever. I've been kind of a wannabe goth for a long time, and never truly a goth though, because my mom did not approve. But like, I still don't really wear orange clothing, but in terms of makeup, especially lipstick, I love an orange lipstick, orange blush, orange eyeshadow, orange nail polish, orange accessories, love. And I really like wearing yellow now. I'll wear bright yellows, but especially like mustardy yellows. And honestly, I find that the key to any makeup look is just like, once you know how to blend, and I also think it's harder to get into makeup like the older you get, not because you can't, but just because I think like when you're a teenager, people kind of expect your makeup to be like a little bit bad. Like nobody, I mean, maybe that's changed a little bit now because YouTube is bigger than it ever was, but I feel like it, like, people kind of expect you to be not great at makeup when you're a teenager, so you can get away with a lot. When you're an adult, you can't. Like, I remember when I thought that, like, I think I've talked about this maybe before, I don't know if I've done it on my channel, but I used to think that, like, blue eyeshadow and red lips were the height of glamour. I thought that was it. And I should maybe try to do that again sometime in a way that, like, makes sense. Because I think you can do it, just, you kind of have to know what you're doing. Anyway. But I find, like, the key is to really just, like, get, like, a decent set of brushes. They don't have to be super expensive. I have, like, a set of Sigma face brushes that I got at Winners. And go from there. Just start small. And starting small doesn't necessarily mean starting with neutrals. Like, you could get, like, a colorful quad like this. So what I'm doing right now is I'm going in with this espresso color, which is kind of like a plummy burgundy kind of. I'm not sure if it's closer to red or purple. It's kind of like, I think it leans more purpley, which I would never have thought to put in like an orange quad, but it looks really good. And so I'm going in with this brush. This is an Eco Tools. It's called Petite Eye Shading Brush. And I like to use it kind of this way in like the outer corner. Like, you see how like messy this is? I'm just kind of like, yeah, I'll like, it's fixable, it's fine. And I'll probably add a bit more of this after I add the shadow color, but I really like to, I don't know, I like to kind of lay down the bases for the darker shade first. And then after that, I'm gonna go in with this crease brush that I was just using. The joys of apartment living. I don't know if you can hear somebody dropping stuff above me, but it's definitely happening. We were supposed to be in a house by now. That's a whole other story, but hopefully it'll still be happening. But that was a big stressor in the summer. That's part of why I didn't upload in September, because we were in the middle of moving to this apartment when we were actually, I mean, even if we were moving into a house, it probably still, like, I don't know if I would have been able to upload, but I feel like I would have had more options. Like, I probably would have done like a little like moving vlog or something, but if I had done a moving vlog with what ended up happening, then it would have just been a video of me crying. And I don't know, maybe some of you weirdos would like to see that, but I don't know if I want to upload that, so. I still haven't gotten the report for my like autism assessment, like the written report. It's been more than 6 months. I'm not a happy camper. All right, so now I'm gonna go in with this shimmery shade called Steamed. And yes, my hands are clean. This is what I always do at first with like shimmery shades. I use my ring finger. I just realized I don't have my wedding ring on, which is on the other hand anyway, but I'm not divorced. I took it off to get a shower and here we are. This is like, I don't even know, it's like a coppery, it's really pretty. Because it's not like orange, but it's like, I don't know. And sometimes I'll bring the shimmer a little bit, just a little bit up into the crease, just kind of like, I'll just take the like excess that I have on my finger and just kind of, just to blend it to make it kind of, all kind of work together, because especially when like my eyes are open, you can't really, like you can't really see where my lid and my crease like separate unless I like do this. So I find that like it makes sense to like kind of blend them and then they look more, I don't know, I just find it looks more seamless. I'm not really like a cut crease kind of person. I mean, I love that look, it just doesn't, I find it doesn't really work for me. Just gonna... And now it's just kind of like a game of like blending until I feel like I have like the desired look or close to the desired look. See, I'm also almost using this dark color as like, it's almost like I'm gonna go in and add like a thinner line a bit further, but almost like a thick liner at the end. I just think that I don't know why this like kind of plummy shade works so well with the orange, but it does. All right, so I just cleaned up around there, and now before I do my face and lower lash line, I'm just gonna take, this is just a Wet n Wild color called Brulee. It's close to my skin tone. Tap that off, and then I am actually gonna go in with the Sunstone shade in the Fairy Blush palette, just a little bit, just to kind of blend kind of the edges. And I just find that like kind of softens everything. It's funny because I was like, is there something? No, it's a freckle that I have. So I do my makeup in kind of a weird order. So what I tend to do next is, it's kind of boring, so I'm probably not going to show you every bit of it. But I tend to go in with my concealer. I have this like pot concealer. This is from the Body Shop. The shade range is abysmal, so sorry, but this is just one that happens to work for me. I go in with a very thin layer of this. It's like kind of close to my skin tone, almost like maybe a touch darker. So I do that to kind of like a very thin layer to neutralize my under eyes. Then I do foundation, which for me is tinted moisturizer, because I can't find a foundation that doesn't make me look dry and cakey. So I use tinted moisturizer, and then I do the rest of my face. Sometimes I'll do, depending on how I'm feeling, I might do like a cream blush and highlight before I go on with my foundation. Sometimes I do a primer, sometimes I don't. I think I will today. This is the Bare Minerals Blemish Rescue. It's nice. And then I do, with this ColourPop concealer, I do very like light here and here to kind of like, I find it just makes my eye look more awake. Rather than putting layers and layers of concealer, because you see how dark my under eyes are, putting layers and layers of concealer, it looks bad. I don't find it does anything. But when I put like a thin neutralizing layer and then a bit of brightening, I find it looks better. So off camera, I did the first layer of concealer, let my primer sink in. I also changed because I don't want to try to pull this top over a full face of foundation. And because I'm kind of running out of time, I'm gonna do the easiest way I know how to do my face, and that is highlighter and cream blush before tinted moisturizer, because and I'm using this ABH one that I mentioned in my favorites video, and I just find that it makes everything, like, you don't even really have to be that careful. It just makes everything look more blended afterwards, more natural, for lack of a better word. I know I'm not really going for natural with this eye situation, but the skin looks more natural. This is ColourPop blush sticks in Roosevelt. I'm going in with a warm blush because I don't feel like doing the whole bronzer thing today. I find that using a warmer tone blush like this helps me kind of get away with not using bronzer and not like, I mean, you don't have to use bronzer anyway, but I find it makes me look a little bit less dead, but I have to be so careful with it because it's one of those things that, like, you don't want to look too orange. I mean, I want to look orange on my eyes, maybe on the apples of my cheeks, but I don't want my whole face to look orange. But I find like a warm kind of terracotta blush helps warm up the face. I'll probably just speed through the foundation because that's not as entertaining to watch, but I'm using the Pretty Fresh hyaluronic acid tinted moisturizer. Sometimes I'll even use a bit of like hyaluronic acid serum and like mix it in, just because I find that helps things blend better. And I put it directly on my face, which is probably a no-no, but I just find it easier. And then I start blending it in with my fingers to warm it up, and then I'll go in with a brush. Okay, so what I did there is I did my foundation and I topped it off with a little bit more cream blush, just like a touch more. And now I'm gonna do this. Now I'm gonna finish up the under eye with this, I don't see the name of it, I think it's rubbed off, but it's a ColourPop liner in burgundy, and kind of use that as a base, especially for like the outer part of my under eye. And then for the inner part of my under eye, I'm gonna use this rose gold color liner from ColourPop. I've been quite liking doing this lately, and sometimes I feel like it gets rid of the need for like an inner corner highlight. You can still do one, obviously, but okay. And now, oh, I forgot to mention, I'd taken a bit of that like espresso shadow, and I'd brought it in a little bit further with this angled brush. Now I'm gonna go in with that same angled brush just to set that liner that I put down. And if I wanted to do an intense wing, this would be, I'm not gonna bother because I don't have time for that, but I find that like taking it from the lower lash line and then like bringing it up, I tend to connect here anyway, but that's kind of the way to do it. All right, so I accidentally got some eyeshadow on, so I just blended it out, and because it's kind of burgundy, it just kind of looks like blush now. I realized that when I had set out to do this, I meant to do a darker blush, but it's fine. I forgot. Now I've got to finish with mascara and everything to finish getting ready, but I'm gonna use the Bite mascara, and I'm gonna use this Luxe Lip from ColourPop called Southbound. And I'll just give a peek of the finished look at the end, and we're on our way. Hi, I'm in a car now. So I did my lipstick. I set my face with the Bite Beauty Change Maker powder, and I forgot to put on mascara, but it's not as big a deal when I'm wearing glasses, so it'll be fine. It is what it is. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you want to see more videos. Okay, bye.